Question number 12, Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Kia ora koutou katoa. My question is to the Minister for the Environment and asks, has he received any advice that New Zealanders would prefer to wade rather than swim in our lakes and rivers?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
No, and it is government policy for as many water bodies as practically possible to be swimmable. When we came to government in 2008, there was no national freshwater policy or standards, and we've been systematically strengthening those. These requirements do not stipulate that every water body be swimmable all the time, but they do require councils to maintain and improve water quality and to identify those rivers and lakes that should be swimmable.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Catherine Delahunty.
Given that answer, will the Minister commit to the goal of making New Zealand lakes and rivers swimmable, with exceptions for issues that he has previously stated, including during high rainfall events in areas where birds colonise, rivers tainted by volcanic ash, and other natural phenomena that may prevent swimming?
Mr. Speaker, Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, we're doing a consultation at the moment, which I started last night, about improvements in the NPS. I am open-minded about strengthening the provisions around swimmability, but it is my view that we need to ensure that they are practical, and that in that process of setting the standards, that we do take into mind the issue of costs. I give the member a practical example in Auckland, like Lucas Creek, that would cost $150 million to bring up to a swimmable standard, a cost that would translate to about $10,000 per household, but a stream that nobody has ever wanted or tried to swim in. And so, yes, we want more water bodies to be swimmable, but we also want to make sure that the provisions are practical.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Catherine Delahunty.
Given that Landcorp can cut the Wairaki proposed dairy conversions by 50% to protect the environment, will he include in his next steps for freshwater document a moratorium on dairy conversions in sensitive catchments?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, indeed that has taken place. So, for instance, in an area like Canterbury, where there was no limits on expansion of dairying, the Commissioners have done a very good job of actually creating red zones, of setting limits on nutrients, and that is happening right throughout the country. What I'd welcome from the Green Party is support for that national policy statement and the requirement to set limits, and I would remind the member that prior to this government coming to office, there were no limits anywhere in New Zealand on nutrients.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. My question was specifically, will the Minister include in the next steps for fresh water a moratorium on dairy conversions?
And I'd invite the member to go back and rehear the answer. He said they're achieving it another way and address the question for the benefit of the member.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question,
What
Catherine.
rivers has the Minister waded in recently, and did he enjoy it as much as actually putting his head under the water?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, I regularly swim, only at the weekend. I was swimming with my family in the Maitai River. But I would point out to the member that actually, contrary to the Green Party view that this is all farmers' problems, if you take the Maitai River, the key swimmability challenge there is actually the standard of our town sewage scheme in Nelson, like many urban areas of New Zealand, where some of those pipes are old and need upgrading, and that there is a significant cost for ratepayers in upgrading those systems, and that needs to be taken into account.
And that concludes questions for all answer. Honourable members, on the 3rd of March